Chapter 16. Music and Character. If there is any one question of more importance than another in life, it is certainly that of character building, because character, or the lack of it, makes or unmakes the man. Man has the power within himself to feel, to think, and to act, and it is the use or misuse of this power that makes for character or the lack of it. The ideal man is one who is thoroughly rounded out, who has used to the full the attributes of soul, the faculties of mind, and the physical senses, and who through their use has developed soul and mind and body to their fullest extent. When we say that a man has a strong character, we mean that he is living life in a strong, true way, that he has strength of mind and purpose, and that he is able to carry both into his daily work. Such a man commands the respect of his fellow man. But the weak, characterless man, the man who is negative in all his thinking and doing, is neither respected nor trusted by his fellow man. It is character that counts in life. The man who is independent and self-reliant, who thinks clearly, and who acts from conviction, brings a far greater influence to bear upon life than could any number of weak, negative-minded people. If character, then, is so necessary to life, it should be the part of wisdom, not only to desire it, but to work for it, because character, like everything else, has to be worked out. None of us in life receives anything that is worth having save through working for it. Yet we all know that two men may do equally hard work and one far outstrip the other, both as regards the quantity and the quality of the work. Now, what constitutes the difference between the two? It will be found that one man is putting greater intelligence into his work, and because of this is getting larger results. A man may be strong physically without being able to accomplish much in the world. A man may be mentally and physically strong and succeed in accomplishing much more. But the man who is spiritually, mentally, and physically strong will be the man who will do the really great things in life. For when a man is developed in all three aspects of his nature, he is thoroughly equipped to do the things that come to him to do. Let me explain. The spiritual is the inner emotion or feeling. It is the dynamic energy of life. Mind is thought and reason. It perceives the form that things should take. The body or physical organism is the plane of expression belonging to both soul and mind, where thoughts and feelings later take form and are expressed. As heart and mind and body all work in harmony with each other, man is able to do his complete, his perfect work. Character, then, is developed through the use of all three, and no one can become fully rounded out unless he is functioning on all planes. If a clear mind and a strong, healthy body are fundamentally necessary conditions to harmonious living, the question that will naturally arise is how may these two ends be attained? The athlete will tell you that the body may be strengthened and perfected through a wise course of physical training, and that intelligence must be used so that all parts of the body may be equally strengthened, but his theories in and of themselves can never make a weak man strong. It is only as a person puts into practice the theories he may have derived from another that he can hope to gain his physical health and strength. In other words, he gains his power through the use of power. He receives his energy through the expenditure of energy. For everything we receive, a price is exacted before we can call it really ours. Everything in life depends upon this great law of reciprocity, of giving and receiving. And so, we give of our possessions, and through doing this enter into larger possessions. Nature exacts of us no indiscriminate giving, but a wise, orderly, righteous giving that considers both the object and the end of the giving. In the building up of the body, all excess or intemperance in exercise, instead of making for greater health or strength, takes from both. There is a wise way of doing everything, and if that way is known and followed, we get the best results. The body is strengthened and renewed when the mind chooses exercise of a normal, natural kind to strengthen alike all parts of the body. In this way, the salvation of the body is being worked out, and it is being saved from weakness, pain, or disease. That which holds good as regards the body holds good in a larger way concerning man's mind. The weak or negative-minded person need never hope to develop a strong, vigorous mind as long as he continues to allow his mind to dwell upon the negative things of life. If he would bring strength out of his weakness, it must come from a continuous effort toward clear, concise, positive thinking. Strength of mind can only come through a real use of the mind. Mental work is as necessary for the strengthening of the mind as physical work is for the body. He who uses his mind each day and hour of his life in an effort to deal in a true way with everything he may have to do, giving thoughtful consideration to his every act, will have far less reason to regret the things done or left undone than the one who goes ahead blindly without taking thought. People who fail to use their minds to think and to reason usually form what might be called biased opinions of almost everything in life. And because of this mental condition, they are constantly making mistakes, which interfere not only with their own welfare but with the welfare of others. It is necessary that each one should make a mental effort to see all sides of any given question. For the one who does this is far better able to judge not only what is going to be best for his own interest in life, but also to respect the rights and interests of others. No one need ever expect to attain any lasting success in life if such success is the result of someone's loss. For reciprocity, giving and receiving, is the real law of living. Character is founded on righteousness, that is, feeling, thinking, and acting in the right, in the best way, and each one forms or develops his own character. If there is only one way to develop character, then all people, sooner or later, must take that way. If each person has to work out his own salvation through his own effort, the sooner he knows it and sets himself to the doing of it, the sooner will he accomplish the desired end. But that end will only be reached through rightly directed personal effort. One may profit by accepting the advice of others, but in the end the individual must do his own thinking. For if anyone is going to see and know life as it is, he must bring his own thought to bear upon it, and not the thought of bygone ages, not even the thought of those whom a man may regard as better thinkers than himself. He may be thoroughly conversant with the thought of the past, and he must be willing to listen to, and be tolerant of, the thoughts of others, but in the last analysis he must fall back on his own highest and best thought. Only in this way can be hoped to strengthen his mind. He can no more grow mentally strong by proxy than he can grow physically strong by having another do his physical exercises. So mental health and strength are worked out through exercise of the mind, and the mind frees itself from all sense of sin and sorrow when all its faculties are being used in a thoroughly natural way. Now we come to a third step in the progress of life, which is more essential than either of the others, and that is the development of man's spiritual nature. This again is accomplished through individual work, but work of an order that is more subtle yet more effective. In working out the physical, man dealt with the physical. It was a work which, while under the direction of the mind, was nevertheless of a thoroughly objective nature. In his mental work, while less objective, he was able to form in mind thought 228 pictures which in turn dealt with the objective phases of life. But when man comes to develop his spiritual nature, he has neither the physical nor the mind's more refined pictures or ideals. It is quite as if he were entering a new world when he enters into the spiritual realm of his being. For in this state the old consciousness is left behind him, that is, the consciousness of objective life, or the mental consciousness composed of thoughts and ideas that partook of his objective life. The new consciousness consists of what a man feels, that great world of feeling which has many names for its different states, such as faith, joy, hope, love, gentleness, etc. Now one might say that it is easy to work on the physical or mental plane, but how can one work on a plane where all seems to be so ethereal, so transcendental? But it is on this plane that the master workman comes into being. On the first two planes everything is largely of a transient nature. The work we did there was always having a beginning and an ending. Now the new consciousness knows nothing of beginning or ending. It is the consciousness of being. It looks neither backward to the things of the past, nor yet forward to the things of the future. It lives in the eternity of the present. How exercise or how develop in a still larger way this consciousness? Through a constant use of feeling, by relating feeling to thought so that each thought we think is made beautiful because of the melody, color, and rhythm that comes from feeling. All thought begins in feeling. Wide in the great mass its base is hid, and, narrowing up to thought, stands glorified, a moveless pyramid. Feeling is the soul of all music, and it can truthfully be said that only as we enter into the everlasting consciousness of love have we entered into the kingdom of God and become attuned to the music of the spheres. Why is it people always think of the angels as being clothed with white and singing or playing on harps? Why should we identify music with angelic beings and heavenly places? Simply because music is an expression of the divine in man, and he must, of a necessity, associate the most wonderful and beautiful things of this life with any heaven he may expect to dwell in at some future time. The white is symbolic of purity. Man has a larger conception of what he should be than he is as yet able to express. He places his ideal heaven in some future time, failing to realize that heaven is a state of consciousness, and that he may have his heaven here and now if he so wills it. Heaven is not dependent upon environment, but upon the love of rhythm in his own life. For when once the inner melody is established, the outer harmony takes permanent form, not in a hard or set way, but rather in a plastic way that leaves it possible for one to make new and harmonious adjustments wherever and whenever in his life there exists the necessity for so doing. Sir Oliver Lodge, in one of his books, says that there are two great facts that the scientific world is absolutely agreed on. The first of these is energy and the second motion. Energy is a state of ceaseless motion, but there is a third factor quite as important, and that is that energy is ever in a state of rhythmic motion, so that the waves produced by sound, color, electricity, and light vibrations are definite rhythmic waves which can be mathematically measured and counted. Energy, rhythm, and motion pervade the whole universe. They constitute the creative and sustaining principles in life, principles that affect every part of the visible and invisible universe. If law governs the whole, then law must govern the part. If energy and rhythmic motion creates all form, then the body of man can no more be exempt from such creation than any other form or forms in the universe. All proceed from one source. All are the results of one law. We may designate by different names the different degrees of the workings of law, but that in no way changes the law. Universal law and order prevail throughout the universe. We sometimes talk of atmospheric sound vibration which has beginning and ending, and again we speak of etheric vibration, such as the vibrations of electricity and light, that have neither beginning nor ending, and we might superficially reason that here are two entirely distinct kinds of vibration, that one is a ceaseless state of vibration apparently without beginning or ending, while the other has both beginning and ending and is only of temporary duration. After all, what seems to be a difference of kind is only a difference of degree. The difference in kind arises solely from man's limited consciousness, his inability to see and to know things as they are in reality. There is just as much an eternity to sound vibration as there is to light or electric vibration, but man, in the present stage of development, is limited to the hearing of approximately 7.5 octaves of musical sounds, and there are 3.5 more octaves of sound that he has as yet been unable to translate into music. Undoubtedly, however, as he continues to unfold to his higher powers and possibilities, his ears will become attuned so that, by degrees, these different octaves of sound, note by note, shall become music. Moreover, in their becoming there shall be disclosed to his hearing still other octaves of sound that he was unable to hear before, and these, in turn, shall become music. And what is true concerning music will be equally true concerning color. The writer is convinced in his own mind that there are far lower and far higher rates of sound and color vibration than the ear and the eye of man have as yet heard or seen. If for more than 7 octaves we are able to hear musical sounds, and after that we have still 3 octaves of what we now term unmusical sounds, surely it is because our ears are not attuned to their vibration. It does not follow that they are unmusical, but that as yet we are unable to translate them into music. For all sounds that are heard from the very lowest to the highest must produce music when in a state of rhythmic vibration, whether we are able to hear that music or not. But as man unfolds to his higher powers, more and more of these sounds will become musical to his hearing. It is a scientific fact that in the last 200 years there has been an increase in pitch, and that the concert pitch of today is higher than it was less than 100 years ago. Also that we see far more of color than we did 50 years ago. There is an ever-ascending scale of being, and we are daily and hourly engaged in climbing the heights of being when the inner and outer life are attuned through the rhythm and melody of the inner, and the beauty and harmony of the outer. It is a wonderful thought that through the aid of the divine music that lives within us, we are trying to give expression to a new song of life. Elsewhere I have said that the body of man is a whole orchestra of musical instruments. Some poet has said, "Strange that a harp of 1,000 strings should keep in tune so long." Every string in this harp can be made to respond to universal vibration. Furthermore, not only is this true, But when we consciously begin to apply to life the underlying principles that go to produce all music, the harp will yet come to be consciously tuned by the musician so that it need never get out of tune. Our own earth in its movement around the sun, in its turning on its axis, in its response to the energy given out from the sun, must be making music, and the very atmosphere in which it moves must have an octave of music all its own which, however, may be only one of the notes in the grand harmonies of creation. So the body of man, which epitomizes, in a small way, the planet, may be an octave of music which in turn forms a note in the harmonies of humanity. Of course, we must ever see that the body is only the instrument or instruments which the musician uses, and that the real music of the body must be the rhythm, melody, and harmony which proceed through soul and mind, finally producing its music in and through the physical organism, so that soul, mind, and body are in perfect unison with all music throughout creation, all blending, as it were, in one grand symphony of rhythm, melody, and harmony. Ideals in mind are themes which have to be wrought into music. They form, as it were, the architecture of music. They are the harmonies of symmetry and form. Back of these lie the rhythm and the color which will beautify, glorify, and bring into being the living music of life. In the past, character has been built to quite a degree on what might be called the externals of life. Outer actions, things that one did or left undone, temperance in eating and drinking, and many other things which, while good in themselves, were, at best, but a washing of the hands or a making of the platter clean. The letter of the word that was too often lacking in the spirit. Character that would be evolved through the instrumentality of music would have to go much deeper. It would deal, first of all, with man's inmost feelings. It would take form in his ideals, and last of all would be expressed in his actions, thereby reversing the whole process of life. The soul in man receives its music from the universal soul, but it does not always follow that man through his mentality or his physical organism is able to give out that which he possesses potentially. Therefore it is necessary that others, who are able to express through musical composition, the voice, or musical instruments, should use what they are in possession of in order not only to advance their own development, but to call into living expression the latent music in the lives of others. Some years ago, I was acquainted with a blind man who could use his voice in such a way as to make musical instruments respond to it. I knew of another person who, while singing in a room in which there were half a dozen Venetian glasses, touched some tone with her voice that caused all the glasses to sound in unison with it. I use these illustrations to show how music may be made to call out the music that lives, but is, as yet, unexpressed in the lives of others, to bring about, as it were, a regeneration of life. The new birth can come only when the whole order of life is reversed. That is, we must stop this vain search after increased life, health, or happiness in the outer world and go to the heart, the source of life, and there get a new consciousness which is not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but the consciousness which is of the spirit, which is rhythmic, melodious, and harmonious. In this way, and only in this way, will character be established. There is but one gospel which will proclaim the way of life for people of all creeds, and all people of no creed, who have eyes to see or ears to hear. A gospel that will make for physical, as well as spiritual, regeneration. For, unto all people is given the power to respond, not only to the music that comes to them through other lives, but to the celestial music, and through such response they become spiritually enlightened, mentally renewed, and physically strengthened, so that the whole life is saved from discordant, inharmonious conditions. Said Robert Louis Stevenson, "We live in an ascending scale when we live happily, one thing leading to another in an endless series. There is always a new horizon for onward-looking men, and although we dwell on a small planet, immersed in petty business, and not enduring beyond a brief period of years, we are so constituted that our hopes are incessant, like stars, and the term of hoping is prolonged until the term of life." Yes, Stevenson was right when he said we live in an ever-ascending scale when we live happily, and his simile is a good one from a purely musical point of view, for the whole tendency of the upward life is in the direction not only of a higher understanding, but of a higher musical pitch, indicating to us that slowly but surely we are translating sounds 5 into music, that we are coming, as it were, under the action of a higher rate of vibration, And, in the course of our development, new octaves will be added, bringing with them new melody and harmony of song. Music will, in the time to come, not only free us from our physical ills, but will cause our sins to pass away under its divine influence. Why is it that in both the Old and the New Testament, when any great events are referred to, they are associated with singing? At the creation of the world, the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. We are told that when the Christ child was born, a great host of angels appeared suddenly in heaven, who sang, "Glory to God in the highest, and on earth peace, goodwill toward men. Love, which is sunlight of peace, age by age to increase, till anger and hate are dead and sorrow and death shall cease. Peace on earth and goodwill, souls that are gentle and still hear the first music of this far-off infinite bliss. A new song that will lead us through the gates of eternal day and bring us to a time when time shall be no more and the shadows of sin, disease, and death shall be left behind forever." The effect of music upon character building and the calling out of that which is highest and best in us is perhaps greater and better than anything else in life, because it speaks directly to the heart, awakening the best impulses, and this, in turn, gives truer thought and better action. Music is filled with the optimism of the Spirit. Not only does it bring to us joy and happiness in our everyday living, but it can be used to unfold the mysteries, the wonder and beauty of another, a new world of consciousness. At any time, one may leave this old world and enter into the new realization. It is this which makes it possible to live life as it should be lived even when surrounded by an environment that is materialistic. The new world is open to all who are seeking the higher way of attainment, to all who desire new vision in order to lead more idealistic lives. One may enter into the secret places of the Most High when he has prepared the way, when he has brought his mind into full control, when he is able to still all the thoughts and unreal emotions of his everyday consciousness. Enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which sees in secret shall reward thee openly. This is the injunction of one who knew that there is a heaven resident in every soul, and when one has prepared the way, he can enter into that heaven and taste of its joys just as much in this world as in any other, just as much in the present as at some future time. For the kingdom is within, and all who have the key may enter at will. For the way of life eternal is not withheld from anyone who is willing to enter and walk therein. End of chapter.